You remember when we moved that house, that old house there, from up there?
Yeah.
Took them 4 tractors,
Yeah.
moved that house from up there. Yeah. That's, when I first got married, that's what I lived in at that time, 1961. James Van Hensley is my name. Everybody called me JV. And I was born on Cutchall Town Road. I've lived there all my life. And we lived back up on the mountain.
Jancer Franklin. I was born the 13th of July, 1930. I was born on Cutchall Town. There's where my granddad, he had a farm there, and I was born there. But we lived there. I was just about born on the farm back in the holler. My mother, she went back there and picked a 10-quart bucket of blackberries and carried them out. And that was when I come along.
She almost didn't make it back to the house?
Yeah, she left and never made it back to the house. But she did, finally made it back to the house. She couldn't can her berries. And Aunt Belby, she come down and canned them for her. So it was just pretty rough on her then.
My father left us when I was 11 years old. And I had to start helping my mother plowing and things. But I wasn't big enough hardly to turn the turning plow around on the end of the field. I'd have to get the mules to pull it around. Once I got it turned around, I could go out the field. So it was kind of a rough life for me. Had to saw wood with a crosscut saw. Yeah. We didn't get no electricity till 1948.
Guess that made a big difference in your day-to-day life, didn't it?
Yeah, oh, it did. Yeah. Our milk was colder.
Your cousins, right?
Distant cousins.
Yeah. So did you know each other as children?
Yeah.
Yeah, we grew up together.
So were your parents friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His daddy and my mother were first cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you all start working together on the farm?
When we got old enough, I mean.
Quick as you got old enough to carry back a place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been close to her ever since we're just young. Me and Jay here were just about the same as brothers as we grew up.
What difference in age is there between the two of you?
6 years.
About
6 years.
6 years different, I think.
So did y'all get in trouble together when you were growing up?
I don't remember.
Not that I know of.
If we did, we ain't gonna talk about it.
Jancer, you had a 95th birthday recently, is that right?
Yeah. I had a good crowd come out for them. I told them I didn't know I had as many friends as I had.
So a lot of people known you for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd turn out there. That girl of mine there, I told her that it would be no use of that there, and she said, yeah, we're going to have you a birthday party there, and said she was well to hush. So I had to let them go with it. Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that bunch coming out. If any way I could help them, I'd help them too. That's what we push here for, to help one another.
How's that your birthday party, Jancer? It seems like these two ladies are the ones that kind of did everything, coordinated everything.
We did.
But
But no. And Dad said, you don't have to have anything. It's just, I said, listen, 95 that's a good number to have a big birthday party. And he said, no, you don't have to have anything. So we kind of planned for, there was 3 family reunions in the area at the time. But best that I can count with the ones that signed the little book that we had. And drop-ins, we had about 150. So, yeah, he had lots of friends.
We had quite a
And
big
that
spread
was
of food and
Yeah,
great desserts. I remember all the banana pudding. That's my favorite.
yeah.
And we're planning another party, Lord's will, in January. Daddy'll be 9.
Congratulations.
So we gonna give him a party.
They are the 2 oldest in the community
Yeah.
now.
Tell me about your mamas. You say they were good friends?
Oh, our moms were good friends, best friends.
Yeah.
When I talk to her mom now, we lost Mom May of 2020. And when I talk to Angie's mom, she always says, I miss your mom. They would talk every day. And with working in the field, with them sharing the crops and doing everything, Lucille and Mom were always there, working or cooking or watching us girls. And that was a job in itself. Just
So Angie, how long you known Karen?
We've been best friends for 60 years.
I don't remember not having them. We were talking about that coming over. I don't remember them not being in our lives,
And my sister.
She has an older sister, Kathy, who is my age. We started school together. We played together before school. Before we were old enough to go to school. While they were doing tomatoes, we were in the playhouse playing, swinging. But I don't remember life without them. So they're more like sisters than just friends or cousins. We are cousins, distant cousins. But
If we wasn't at Jancer's house, Karen was at our house.
yeah,
Our
Oh,
dads were
nice.
best friends, our moms were best friends, and we've been best friends all of our life.
Hello, I'm Tim Barnwell, and welcome to the Face of Appalachia. Spending time with Jancer and JV is like stepping back into another time. They've been neighbors and best friends for nearly 9 decades, farming the same mountain fields, working side by side at the Sawmill, and helping one another through every season of life. Sitting with them listening to their laughter and stories, you can feel history come alive. So stay with us as these lifelong friends share tales from their remarkable lives here in the mountains of Madison County, North Carolina.
His daddy had a sawmill, and I worked for him. I worked for Everett Johnson, and he set the sawmill up on Big Pine over there, and we cut a band of timber over there. And Ransom, that was Everett's boy. He was doing the sawing. And I was out there on the end out there, and the mill, and he sawed into a pretty good sized rock. But from the outside of that log, you couldn't tell that there's anything wrong with it. But evidently somebody threw the rock in through a hole in it, and it just all covered back up there. And he sawed that, got into that rock with that circle saw there, tore that saw all to pieces. Man, that was a racket. And my teeth going through the roof of that sawmill. Man, we lived there. I remember I had a dog, and Jancer, he wanted to buy that dog. And I told him I'd take $3 for it. So I sold him that dog for $3. Yeah. I had one there, his little old face like, and I had a little wagon there. And I was wanting to haul him in that wagon. I put some bread back in that wagon there, a little pin on it there. And I was trying to push him back in there. He bit me through the lip there. My mommy had to take me to Marshall down here, to Doc Sam's. He sewed that up. He didn't numb that or nothing. Man, that hurt. But it left a little bit of a scar there on my lip yet.
How old were you?
I was probably about 10 or 11 at that time.
Were there many doctors around, or did you have to go to Marshall?
No, you had to go to Marshall. Yeah.
You pretty much, I guess, just went when you got hurt, right?
Oh yeah, that's on time you went.
So how far did you live from the store growing up? Did you go to the store to get supplies, or did you grow most of everything on the farm?
Well, they had a peddler that come by, a truck that hauled groceries. Everett Rice and Earl Rice, Abner Wild. There's about 3 peddlers that run. And we get out and dig herbs and things and drive and take them to the peddler and they'd buy. And we bought a lot of groceries like that.
So what kind of herbs did you grow?
Bloodroot and low billy is a bush that grew up like that out of weed like. It's about the highest thing you could do. They must have had a good demand for it. Yeah.
So you traded for a lot of stuff then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you get off the truck?
Like sugar, coffee, flour. We didn't get much candy.
Seemed like everybody got along good back then, but it's a lot of different over now than what it was back then. Seems like they don't get together that much anymore. But we get on them hills there, me and my brother, older brothers, get on them hills and plow them fields up, put some corn, beans, whatever we needed up there. We had to keep it going. Just about anything you could come up with, then you could eat, we had it. Throw it up there and pick it, just got ready. And put it in the can then. Can a lot of beans. Had a number 2 tank tub. We'd have a beans planted of a night. Get about 2 bushel and put the sheet down the floor there and put them beans on there. The neighbors would come around and help us clean them and break them up.
And then you can them at the end. When you cooked them all day, then you can them?
Yeah, I had to put them on early in the morning and cook them. Just got down to dusk. We got them out. You couldn't get them to go back to that now.
That took a lot of work.
Yeah, it had to work. Keeping the fire and under them in the water had to have we had a brass kettle there with my granny's, and she kept it there with water in it to side. Kept the fire under it to keep the water warm. To pour it in it. One of our neighbors lived back on the mountain up there, and they hadn't been used to cooking them in a tub. And the neighbors got in there and nobody told her about heating the water. But you had a tub full there. Poured cold water in there and busted every one of them. That was heartbreaking to her. Them old people there, some of them wouldn't tell you nothing. You had to learn it yourself.
Through the winter months, we'd make a lot of hominy. Take that hickory cane corn. It had a big grain, and you could make that hominy out of it. It was really good. I really liked it. Yeah. Popcorn, we'd raise popcorn. I remember the fireplace. They had it's something about that long that had a handle on it. And you could put that popcorn in like a screen wall and hold it over that fireplace there. And it'd pop that popcorn. I remember doing that. So.
Guess that was a real treat.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
JV, do any of your children or grandchildren or anybody, cousins, any of them still farm?
It's about dried up.
Why do you think that is?
Well, one thing you got's expensive. Fertilizer. Stuff like that. Diesel fuel. Tractor, you had to buy a tractor. I never did have a tractor till 61. And yeah, I bought that tractor in 61. Give $1,200 for it. With a tractor, plow, and a subsoiler. I was proud of that thing. Yeah.
Hey folks, Tim here. As you know, I love sitting down with older folks in our Appalachian communities and hearing their stories. Talking with Jancer and JV is a real privilege, and I learn something every time we get together. We hope you're enjoying this episode of The Face of Appalachia. If you believe these stories are worth preserving, the easiest way to help is to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It's free, but it makes a big difference in helping us keep this work going. Please be sure to tell your family and friends about what we're doing here. We'd love to hear from you. Use the comment section to share any stories you remember from your elders and how they've shaped your life. Now, let's get back to some good old mountain wisdom. What were some of the times where people gathered together when you were growing up? What kind of events brought everybody in the community together?
Like corn shucking. Now that's been a long time ago. I was real small, but I can remember it. We lived up on that mountain up there. There's an awful pile of corn there that I believe I ever seen his house nearly. And they had a corn shucking there that night. Why, they must have been 30 or 40 people.
At the corn shuckings, it would be an opportunity for people to kind of visit and...
Yeah, where they come together and they could talk, communicate with you that way. I had one of the cousins. He had a girlfriend. They had this here red corn and this speckled corn in it. This here red corn there, they said, if you got a red ear in it, you get to kiss your girlfriend. One of my cousins there, he was talking about it there. He's in love with one of the gunner girls there. He said, I shucked that corn, said I shucked hard as hell to get me a red ear corn so I could kiss my girl. Said I couldn't find it. Yeah, he said I couldn't find it. Said never get the speckled ears he could get out, but he couldn't find the red ears.
There's one man, he go on Spillcorn side there and raise corn, and he had to come down before where he lived. He'd go back there and pull that fodder off that corn and put it in shocks. In the wintertime, he lived on down from where I did. Probably a good 3 miles to where he'd have to carry that. He come down by the house, all you could see is his feet underneath that chocolate butter. And, but that's the way he fed his cow. That took a gut to do that. And one guy slipped up behind him and set it afire. He had to come out of there. Get the bird's old man up. Rag Sam was his name.
Was he just playing a joke on him?
Yeah. I don't think he would have wanted to burn him up, but he set him before that shot.
Them boys back in there was mean.
Were there a lot of stills back in the mountains then?
Oh, yeah. You could buy liquor anywhere up Shelton.
Guess that created some problems like that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I can show you a lot of places where liquor would been made. Yeah.
Out there, graveyard, and there's on the field going over, and he come across on Cutchover town. So my Maxima, so you got several deputies over Ray. Well, he said they're wearing the cowbell to keep from running into one another.
Well, y'all worked together a long time, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did a lot of graves
yeah.
by hand. You ever been over at Memorial Church?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Pretty good sized cemetery down there. I walked out there on the porch. Somebody standing there, and I told him, I said, I know I'm getting old. After I've helped dig most of them graves down there. There's a lot of graves down there. He did too. Yeah. But there ain't nobody you can get now to help you dig a grave. Them that would help ain't able. Was a digging one there and noticed a skull. Kid, we dug into a grave. That wasn't a good feeling. We just had to fit it back up and move. Nobody knowed that was there.
Yeah, I guess they didn't have a lot of headstones.
No,
Some of those early
I'd
cemeteries.
say if you dig anywhere over at that cemetery talking about, you dig in the grave. They never had no headstones up.
What do you miss about the good old days he keeps talking about?
Well, I miss the people. Them old timers I could go to and talk to. They'd listen to you. This young generation won't listen to you. They don't know what you're talking about. But I really do miss the old people.
Guess you learned a lot by talking to him, didn't you?
Oh man, I wish I'd listened a lot more. If I'd known now what I know. But I do miss it.
So do you think young people today can understand how it was like when you were growing up?
I don't really got a clue. I swear I don't. Yeah. They'd never survive. I don't think.
About you, Jancer, what are you proud of your lifetime?
Well, I try to help people in need, or I could help them any way at all. I go and help them. And I never worried about the dollar.
So, JV, what do you want people to remember about you?
Well, some of them might not want to remember. Well, I'd have to say that I've been, well, there's one woman told me that she's dead now. Told me not long before she died. Said, told me that I'd been a good neighbor. That made me feel good. Yeah, that's what I want to be remembered, helping people.
It's been a year since last we met. We may never meet again. I have struggled to forget, but the struggle is in vain. For his voice rides on the breeze, his spirit comes at will. In the midnight on the seas, his bright smile haunts me still. In the midnight on the seas, his bright smile